It's Tuesday, December the 10th. This is a monthly Moan election special. Welcome to the monthly Moan. You may not have noticed, if you were living in a cave, that there's an election happening in the UK. Yes, an election. In December. On the run up to Christmas. You know, have we got more important things to do, like get ready for Christmas, than to have to traipse down and vote? Yet, this is probably one of the most important elections we've had for some time. And it could be the very future of this country that is decided this Thursday at the ballot box. You've got a choice between two rather different parties as to who you want as your Prime Minister. Now, this is a case. There are lots of people to vote for, but only two people can become Prime Minister. That is either Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn. Nobody else. No Joe Swinson, Nigel Farage or anybody else, because they don't actually count. In this election, only Boris or Jeremy can be your Prime Minister. You vote for the party, their leader. And remember that you may not like a certain leader, but you know, in a few years' time that leader will change and another one will come along. Look at the Conservative Party, for example. David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson. You've had three leaders in, what, 3 years? In 2016 Cameron was there, then it was May, now it's Boris. Come on. In that time the Labour Party has stayed with Jeremy Corbyn. Amazing. The man they all deride is still the leader, and he has won 2 leadership elections and performed significantly better in an election in 2017 than the polls were saying. Question is, can he do it again this year? So what are we up against? Well, first we've got this guy, Boris Johnson. Yeah, he's there. You see that guy there? Yeah, Boris Johnson. What can you say about Bojo? Yeah. What can you say about him? The man is a liar. And there's two ways about it. I don't know if this man even knows what the truth is about. He seems to be constantly lying. Doesn't tell the truth. Don't even tell you how many kids he's got. Yes, he has children, but he doesn't live with them. It's a real role model for the Christian side of the Conservative Party, isn't he? Yeah, this the party that claims to have family values has this guy there who is living with his girlfriend while he's still married. Yeah, not exactly the best of people overall. Believes, by the way, that women only got the vote because they learnt to drive cars and the men got worried that they might actually run them over. He did say this in 2013. Obviously he wasn't thinking he would become leader of the Conservative Party at that point, but he was talking and having a joke with someone and just came up with that in conversation. In his other jobs, as London Mayor, he didn't perform to any spectacular state. The Garden Bridge, a thing where multiple millions of pounds were just basically peed up against the wall. The Boris bikes, the Boris buses were things that were already in the pipeline, so he just put his name to them and carried on going. Really didn't do much apart from close a lot of fire stations down. Interesting sort of idea, isn't it, really? So is he any good in any other jobs? Foreign Secretary? Well, he got Nazanin Zaghari sent down for an even longer sentence because he opened his big mouth. This man does actually have a panache for putting his foot in it. And he has actually won 3 awards from the Plain Speaking organisation for, basically speaking, gobbledygook. Yes, he has got the Foot in Mouth Award 3 times. He's got a Lifetime Achievement Award from them. Absolutely superb. So, do you trust him? I don't, because whatever he says, I can't believe him. Everything he says is a lie. It's always a lie. This guy lies. How can you trust this guy? How can you even think of voting for a man who basically doesn't know what the truth is? So, what about the opposition? Well, it is Jeremy Corbyn. Now, does this guy lie? Well, yes, he's a politician. All politicians do have a tendency to lie. Does he have great big ribbling lies like Boris Johnson? No. Boris Johnson is a consummate liar. This guy lies now and again. What's his lie? Well, his last one was about the Queen's speech. He didn't know what time it was on, and he was trying to say that he did watch it and he didn't realise. Jeremy, the Queen's speech is at 3 o'clock on Christmas Day. It's always been 3 o'clock on Christmas Day. I know you don't watch it because, hey, you're a Republican. I can understand that. When you say that, they're trying to lie. It didn't look good. But on most things, this guy has been pretty correct when he has said things. He said that the war in Iraq would cause untold suffering. It did. He said that it would cause ripples across the Middle East and probably cause an even greater struggle. Hey, Syria, think about it. Yeah, this guy has been on the right side of history on multiple occasions. You go, oh, he's a lefty, he doesn't know. He does know. And he's more in tune with the people than the Bullington boy. Some people say he's a terrorist sympathiser. Terrorist sympathisers do not win peace prizes. And this man has won 2 international peace prizes. Not 1, 2. That wasn't mentioned in the media. Well, the mainstream media. Some media reported it. But the majority's just, we cut to the narrative. Jeremy Corbyn. Useless. Well, this useless man has survived 3 Conservative Prime Ministers. Doing pretty well, I would say. If you want somebody who you can trust will look after the NHS, if you want somebody who you can trust to pick up the pieces of education and to help the majority of the population, then you're looking at this man. You're not looking at the last one. Now, these 2 renegades, Dominic Raab and Priti Patel, Foreign Secretary and Home Secretary. Oh, good Lord. What can you say about this couple? Well, these 2 believe that the British workers are the laziest in the world. They've written that down and they said that. Oh, wow. Priti Patel does not believe that government is in any way responsible for people being poor. Poverty is not the government's problem. Poverty is caused by all sort of other things, not government policies like universal credit, which put people into near poverty situations, not sanctioning for very minor problems like you were 5 minutes late for an appointment. No, this is not government. Government haven't made people poor. Actually, yes, they have, with a lot of the things you've put in place. Remember, the Conservatives between 2010 and 2015, during the coalition government, introduced massive draconian cuts in welfare and benefits, including the introduction of the bedroom tax into social housing. One of the things the Conservatives say is, well, Labour introduced the bedroom tax. Labour introduced the bedroom tax, the spare room subsidy as it is known. Labour introduced it when it came to private rented accommodation, because you do have a choice with private rented accommodation. You don't have a choice really with social accommodation. You're on a waiting list, you get a social housing association or council house, and you're pretty glad to get it. But now you're going to be saying, how many bedrooms has it got? Because, there's only me and my daughter. Oh, it's got 3 bedrooms. Now I'm going to be charged £15 for the privilege. That is the situation we're in. It's absolute rot. You have got parents who are divorced, who are living in a 2-bedroom flat so that their children can come round at the weekend, they get charged a bedroom tax because there's nobody in that room. Except the weekends when their child comes round. Well, what do you expect them to do? I mean, one of these bloody Lord Froome, I think it was saying about, well, they could get a settee bed, sofa bed in the living room and use that. Oh, that's great. That's really just swell. Yeah, the bedroom tax is absolutely disgusting, and it should be axed. It is basically something that should never have seen the light of day. Even Labour should never have brought it in, but I can understand why they did, because people at that time with private rented accommodation were taking the piss. They were getting the biggest house possible with God knows how many bedrooms and, you know, charging the taxpayer for it. I can understand why they were bringing it in for that, but you don't bring it in for social housing, because social housing is basically what you see is what you get. And when you come to a point where you have people, like I say, a divorced parent who has got a separate room for their kids to stay there over the weekend, and you start charging them a bedroom tax for the privilege, that is where it falls down and goes all wrong. Now, this pretty boy here is Matt Hancock, another one of these scumbags who are in the Conservative Party, and he's the health minister, or was the health minister. Let's hope he's not the health minister in December the 13th, because if he is, we're in trouble. This guy believes in quite radically private health care. Well, that's why you put him in charge of health, I suppose. And he believes that all under 25s are unproductive. Oh, really? You say? Okay. So when a young soldier is killed serving this country, he was unproductive. You are a scumbag. The reason he says they're unproductive, of course, is they do not want to pay the minimum wage, or living wage, put it in quotation marks. The living wage was produced by George Osborne. It's not the real living wage. The real living wage is about £1 more. But George Osborne wanted to have a living wage to try and say that the Conservatives created the living wage, as if they actually brought in a wage that people could actually say they were working for. Labour brought in the minimum wage in 1997 because before that there was you could pay people peanuts, and they did. Labour brought in the minimum wage, and of course instantly it was said, oh, there'll be losses of jobs all over the place, and nothing happened. In fact, jobs increased. Now we've got a new living wage, and they say that if it goes up, there'll be lots of jobs lost. You said it once, we don't believe you. You lied last time. You're basically, all it is we want to keep the money in our pockets, and we don't want to pay people for actually doing a decent day's work. Yeah, this guy is a scumbag. Sajid Javid, another man with a big whopper. No, we're not talking about what's down below. We're talking about what came out of his mouth. Yes, when talking about housing and people being homeless, he basically said that it was Labour's fault that we have mass homelessness at the moment. Like 9 years of conservatism hasn't happened. It's all Labour's fault. What? Hang on. You've been in for 9 years. You haven't sorted out the problem. Oh, it's Labour's fault. Well, let me tell you something. Between the 1997 and 2010, homelessness went down. Labour had policies to tackle homelessness. After Labour left and austerity kicked in, homelessness skyrocketed. It got to its height at 2017. It has eased off slightly, but only very slightly. You've got nothing to crow about. And to say it's Labour's fault is seriously disingenuous. Or, in other words, you were lying your ass off. As it comes to other parties, well, you've got the Liberal Democrats, and here is Jo Swinson. She hates Jeremy Corbyn. She doesn't like Boris Johnson. She thinks she'll be Prime Minister. She is deluded. Joe, you were never going to be Prime Minister in a million years because you simply cannot get that sort of vote. It would have to be a seismic change in the entire political environment, i.e. everybody would have to vote Liberal Democrat. And I can tell you that they won't. She, of course, was in government during the coalition times when mass austerity was brought in with the bedroom tax and draconian cuts in benefits. Yes, she voted for every single one of them. So can you trust her? Absolutely not. She says she's sorry for it, but we were in coalition. Oh, really? I'm sure you could have got somewhere with that one. I mean, wasn't it your party that went round pledging to scrap the tuition fees, going up to all these young people in university saying, yes, writing it down on a pledge card, we will scrap tuition fees? And you got into coalition and you tripled them. Yeah. Not very good, really, was it? Remember, the Liberal Democrats are hungry for power and will do anything and will look both ways at the same time, if possible. One of the analogies was in a local council where they had 5 Liberal Democrats, is 2 voted for, 2 voted against and 1 abstained. So on their leaflet they could say whatever they liked, whether the public liked or disliked the policy. Remember that about the Liberal Democrats. Do I need to say more? Nigel Farage, the Brexit Party Limited, decided to stand down in all Conservative seats. Well, that proves they are Conservative, isn't it? And 4 of his MEPs have come out and said, vote Tory. The Brexit Party's fallen to pieces. Sorry, Nigel, it's all over for you. That's why he wants to bring out a new party, the Reform Party. Reform Party? You know, it seems he's not quite content with disappearing into the wilderness quite yet. And that is the way it is with Nige. Yeah, the Brexit Party are pretty much dead in the water. And it's not surprising. The question is, who do you vote for at the next election? Do you vote for the consummate liar, Boris Johnson, who has used an absolute plethora of lies? Or do you vote for Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party? I say they've been slightly more honest, although maybe they're offering a bit too much. I don't know. It is quite a lot that they're putting on the plate there. I mean, it does sound a bit like magic unicorns for breakfast. But then again, the Conservatives used magic unicorns for breakfast during the Brexit campaign, didn't they? The Leave campaign, Boris Johnson will give you millions for the NHS. See, that's another of his whoppers. You can't trust him. He says there'll be more doctors and more nurses. Do you trust him? I don't. I don't trust the man. I can't trust him. He's disingenuous. You can't trust the media. You can't trust the BBC. The BBC are supposed to be non-biased. They're supposed to have equal say for both parties. They don't. Their bias is towards the Conservatives by far. Especially Laura Kuenssberg, who was making up shit recently. Although I will give them the due about the leadership debates. They didn't have to give Boris Johnson a rollicking. Andrew Neil really went for him at the end of his last interview. He said, well, the door's open, why haven't you come? Now, this could be a ploy by the BBC so that Boris Johnson doesn't need scrutiny, or it could be just a case that Boris Johnson is a bit of a chicken. Whichever way round, he should have gone there, and Andrew Neil did rip him a new backside. So, that's it from me. If you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can visit us on our website. It's www.citylife2050.com, and if you like what I do, you can support me on Patreon, which supports the graphic novel which I run every couple of weeks. You know, we're at the Great Civil War at the moment, and it supports the YouTube channel and the website in general. Okay, so that's it for me. This is the first monthly moan. I will do a monthly moan before Christmas where I will be looking at how bad the television is for the Christmas month. But until then, have a great one. See you soon. Bye bye.